This episode is brought to you by Jersey Mike's. Welcome to another holiday edition of Points in the Paint. It's our podcast solely geared towards WCC women's basketball. I'm Schatz, joined by my incomparable co-host, Mary Murphy. Mare, I hope you've got some New Year's resolutions teed up. I'm not going to get into details, but I hope you got a couple.
I'm still working on them, but I'm still in 2024, so I think it's best to just keep my feet right where I am, and I'll worry about 2025 tomorrow.
I got you. Breathe in, breathe out, baby. All right, let's talk WCC hoops. You and I were just talking offline. Last year, we watched Gonzaga, in your words, run the table. I mean, they took off like a house of fire, and everybody else was playing for high seeds. This year, we're barely scratching the surface of starting this season in terms of conference play, and it is up for grabs.
It really is. It's a wild start, and it doesn't show any sign of slowing down. I mean, we're just into the second week of play. And just keep in mind, with the addition of Washington State and the addition of Oregon State, these teams will play 20 conference games. So you talk about just scratching the surface. We're just getting started with this thing. You know, most teams have played 4 games. Oregon State certainly has not played that many yet, but this is a season that is going to continue every single week to the beginning of March, and then we'll roll into Vegas. So this is just going to keep hitting big time every single week. And at the end of the show, we'll start running down the big games coming up. Every weekend, there's going to be a big game just all over this conference. And it's exciting to see just the elevation of programs. You know, Gonzaga is going to get healthier, and I'm sure they're going to start winning more games, and all over this conference and up and down the West Coast. Exciting basketball.
All right, you talked about big games to look forward to. Let's look back, the huge games that just transpired. We got to start with the game on the Bluff. Unbeaten Portland. I mean, they were boat racing everybody they played. No losses, double-digit victories, rocking and rolling, and boom, Oregon State comes into town, and Scott Rueck and his bunch pull off the overtime shocker.
Exactly right. And I think that the subtext of all this is just the Portland, Oregon State. You know, you drive that road a lot, and just how close these two schools are and the rivalry that's going to develop between the two of them in this conference. Real exciting to see, but in overtime, and you just have to tip your cap to Kelsey Reese. I mean, we talked about her last Friday when we did our first podcast, and just she needs to be the MVP. She has had career highs in 2 straight games, rebounding. She doesn't want to be down in the post playing all doing the bump with people, but she got down there, double triples coming her way, and just came away with point after point, basket after basket, and performed at such a high level. And for Portland, had a couple real key people foul out. And as we've seen, you know, the same thing happened to Gonzaga. If your big time players foul out, you really can struggle towards the end of a ball game.
So that just kind of blows everything up even more. And then you've got teams that are really getting hot to start into conference play. And one of those clubs is St. Mary's. They've won 4 straight. They keep finding ways to win. And this is a club with enough veterans and really fun transfers in that will be in this race.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And when you're picked 8th in a preseason poll, you can walk around, no matter where you are, you walk around all season long with a chip on your shoulder. You're like, really? You didn't respect us. You didn't think we could get this done. But this is a team with just 1 senior. And the fact that this team has won 3 overtime games completely blows my mind, that they can put it together at those critical moments. And when you watch this team play, they share the ball so beautifully. They work together. It's like they've been playing together for 4 and 5 years. They're really fun to watch. A coach who's experienced, and Jeff Kaman, who really knows how to blend personalities and blend styles of play. And I was kind of blown out watching them just continue to pull these games out and sit in the top of the conference right now. St. Mary's.
4-0 start, best conference start since 2014. Huge reason for that. And we can't wait to introduce you to Kennedy Johnson, the transfer California native coming in from Idaho. Kennedy, thank you so much for being a part of this show, and help us understand why you've been able to just slide right in to Jeff's system and make such an impact.
Of course. Thanks for having me. I think a lot of credit goes to Jeff and just his staff. They've been really amazing from the start since recruiting me. And it being my 3rd school, I've kind of learned to adjust to a system pretty fast. So it's just been a joy, taking it one day at a time. And because our team is so young, I'm just learning with the girls right next to me as well. We take it every day and just we're just enjoying the process so far.
Kennedy, in yesterday's game, you guys had a 2 o'clock tip. To me, the tipping point was you. You know, you got that one steal, you kind of got a rebound, you pushed tempo, you really were very selfless and finding a teammate instead of taking a shot, trying to create for yourself. And how does that come together so quickly for you with all these different people that you haven't really spent a lot of time around?
Yeah, I think it's just every day in practice, we kind of learn to just work together and then also we take the time outside of practice just to build chemistry and be around each other. Like after film sessions, we kind of just sit down with Jeff and we all just get to know each other. Like he goes around and he asks us to point out our strengths of our teammates and vice versa. So I just think it's really those little things also that help build that chemistry really quick, especially because like I said, our team is really young. And it's just the little things that we do not only in practice, but outside the court as well.
You're from Hayward, you went to Bishop O'Dowd, I love that you won the state championship, but the story about, Draymond and those guys and Steph when you went by a practice and you're chatting it up, like, there's not many people in the world that get to hang out and talk to those guys. The state championship, Bishop O'Dowd, and talking to the Warriors, tell us about it.
Yeah, that was honestly one of the highlights of my basketball career. Like I remember walking in that facility and just being starstruck on the sideline. And I remember my coach, Stephen Curry, came over to introduce himself to each one of us. And my coach
Wow.
shouted out to him. She was like, yeah, she scored 32 points on her birthday. And so he gave me an extra long handshake and he said, like, congrats, good job. And it was just one of the moments, super moments I was really proud of. And I just never thought that would have happened. But it was just really cool to be able to be there.
I love the fact that you are, and Mary mentioned your high school accolades, where you're from, your home.
Yeah.
And you have mentioned so many times how wonderful it is to look up in the stands and see your mom and dad, your siblings, friends, family. Help us understand the emotional component of playing, hitting the stretch run of your career in front of your people.
It's amazing. It's really just a full circle moment. These people that are coming to every single one of my games so far this year, they've just been there since day one. They've been with me when I first started playing basketball and just every step of the way. And they're just the best supporters I could ever ask for. So it's just amazing to be able to see them almost at every single game. And I know that I'm playing for something bigger than myself whenever I look up in those stands.
Kennedy, when I look at your coaching staff, a couple names jump out to me. Lexi Peterson, who we all know who played at Oregon, and Brittany Boyd Jones, who played at Cal. What's it like being coached by, I mean, Lexi, one of the greatest shooters of all time, and Brittany, honestly, as a competitor, as a winner, and what she did to help elevate that Cal program. What's it like every day to know you've got them there to help you with the game of basketball?
Yeah, they definitely make practice way more competitive. They're not just coaching, they're out there on the floor playing.
Oh, all
Yeah,
right.
they're playing with us, we're guarding them. A lot of the times we get in trouble because Coach B is beating us off the dribble or doing something. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. You wouldn't think she stopped playing basketball, she still has it. Same with Lexi, but it's just nice. I feel like they're just natural leaders and role models, especially as women, for us to just like be able to go to and talk to about anything, not just with basketball, but other things as well. And it's just been honestly a really beautiful dynamic to have them with us because, they still have that young spirit to them as well. So it's really fun.
Keep the young spirit. Mary and I are all over that. You know, uh, Mary mentioned before we brought you in that St. Mary's was picked to finish 8th in the WCC. Is that something you all talk about in the locker room? I mean, it's early, but you guys are making a mark. How good can you be? And wouldn't you love to prove the critics wrong?
Yeah, 100%. When those polls first came out, we didn't really think much of it. We also knew we were a young team. We had a lot of work to do, but everyone knows like all those polls are just, like they can be changed at any moment, anytime. So we didn't really have that in the back of our minds. We wanted to keep our focus on just like getting better and 1% better every day. And I feel like we're seeing the results of that now. A few games ago, Coach Jeff had a talk with us, and he told us that we need to be process driven and have belief every single
Mm.
day. And I feel like we've had that mindset, and that's what's helping us be successful right now.
You talk about your parents and your family, but there's a big game coming up Thursday. I know it's New Year's Eve and then New Year's Day, but Thursday on the hilltop at USF, another undefeated team you guys will play, and your family can just drive across a couple bridges and go to that game as well. What's it like so early in the season to be playing an undefeated team for first place in the WCC?
I think it's gonna be a really good game. I feel like we've already had our mindset on them ever since, after the game yesterday. We kinda we were just ready to move on to the next game and see what's ahead of us, but we know it's gonna be a tough game, and we're ready for it, so.
All right, I'm going to leave you with this. You've been asked what your hidden talent is. And you said, and I quote, "It's not hidden because I'm amazing at everything." Care to expound?
Oh my gosh, that was just for view.
No, no, no. I got you.
Keep being amazing, Kennedy.
I
You
love it.
did a great job leading your squad, and it's
Heck
gonna
yeah.
be exciting to watch you the rest of the way.
We're not going to put you on the spot. We just had to give you a little zinger. Kennedy Johnson, oh, have you been a breath of fresh air for St. Mary's for this conference? Welcome home and keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
And Happy New Year.
Thanks for having me.
And Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
All right, Kennedy, go join your team, grab your coffee, do whatever. We're going to take a quick break, and our podcast, Rockin' and Rollin', will be right back. Welcome back to Points in the Paint. As mentioned previously, this is our holiday edition. And oh, Mary Murphy, 2025 promises to be a Sam Goody in WCC women's basketball. We take a look at the standings. I know it's early, but I just love the fact that there is a logjam of teams fighting for that top spot.
Yeah, I mean, when I look at it, I'm like, what is happening? Because sort of in the middle is Portland, Oregon State, and Gonzaga. And Gonzaga was picked to be first, and Portland's just been playing so well. And at the top, you have St. Mary's undefeated at 4-0, Washington State at 3-0, and USF at 3-0. So the picture and the point is, and what this says to me is just how good and how deep this conference is, and just how much there is to look forward to every single segment of a weekend. There's big games up and down this conference. And I think it just really makes for a conference that you want to pay attention to. And the more we have watched these teams this year, and it's 2024, we're going into 2025, how these teams transform from year to year with transfers out, with transfers in, with injuries, and with freshmen. You never quite know what you're going to get. So preseason polls can be like, who knows? But it is exciting to watch these games and watch these teams and watch these coaches adjust to the new life that is, the transfer portal and everything that goes with it.
We just talked to Kennedy Johnson, the wonderful transfer who goes to St. Mary's from Idaho, and how quickly she is assimilated into Jeff's system at St. Mary's. But boy, does she have talent around her.
She does. It's interesting. This is a team that only returned 5 players, and they have 10 newcomers. And just in that one statement, you're saying there's a lot of work to do when you get all those folks on the floor. Kennedy, the only senior on a team with 10 newcomers. So getting that mix together and getting it to work well, I mean, what a job Jeff and his staff have done. They have transfers from junior college, from Riverside, from Long Beach State. We've mentioned Idaho, USD, and LMU. Some familiar with the WCC, some not. But I just, their ability to come from behind, 4 games they have come from behind. They were down, what was it, 16?
16.
And came back against USD. They were down 8. So this is a team that you watch them and you go, well, I guess this is the game that the bubble's going to burst. And they just kind of keep working at it, and they work together. And you wonder where they find that magic and that ability, because they haven't been together that much. So they're a fun team to watch. And it's going to be interesting to see how much better they can get.
And you shift over to a team like USF that had speed bump just as St. Mary's did, now on a serious roll, and they're feeling really good. Lots of fun, freedom to play, international roster, and they're bringing it.
They are, and they're a team that is so fascinating because they had lost 5 straight games
Right.
in November and into December.
Right.
5 straight. Their final loss was at Northern Arizona by 9. And then they rip off 4 straight. They beat ASU, Gonzaga, at LMU, and at Santa Clara. And when we did this the first time, our episode 1, we talked about, can they win on the road? So what do? They go to LMU and they go to Santa Clara and they win 2 games. This is a team picked 6th. They have a returning newcomer of the year from a year ago. 3 grads, 7 seniors. So what does that tell you? This is a team heavy in experience, heavy in desire, heavy in this is the last time we're going to maybe play basketball. Let's get out there and get after it. And you look at where their roster comes from up on the hilltop. Argentina, three folks from Brazil, Croatia, Greece, Hungary, Senegal, 3 players from Spain, Sweden, and then California, Oregon, and Oklahoma. This is just a tremendous group that is attracted to playing for Molly Goodenbauer in her 9th year at USF. And you put all those different styles and experiences together, it melds perfectly with what San Francisco, just the city, is all about. And I watch them and I'm excited about it, and I'm excited for Molly and all the success that she's had and just to see where she can take this thing.
They've got a flair and a freedom and a style and a joy of playing with that melting pot of international experience that really is something. And I truly believe when they beat Gonzaga, and I think that snapped like a 17-game skid against Gonzaga, broke Gonzaga's 22-game conference win streak. That kind of started everything. And now we're watching them carefully. And got to come back to Oregon State. This is a team, Mary, you covered them a few weeks ago when they played against UC Irvine at home. I believe you called that game. Were you on that game?
I was on that game.
Hey,
It was not a
and
pretty game.
no, it wasn't. And they struggled to shoot. They struggled from mid-range all the way out to beyond the arc. And here they are in overtime beating Gonzaga on the road, in overtime beating Portland on the road. What the heck is going on?
Well, I think we talked about it a little bit at the top of the show. Kelsey Reese is just taking this team on and saying, let's go. We talked last week about AJ Marat. We're seeing the same thing. Kenan Schuler gaining confidence, doing a great job taking care of the basketball. And they've got some big games coming up. They've played some big games. A team certainly to keep our eye on.
I remember a few years ago when Scott Ruick told us we used to fear Reese when she was at Utah. And all of the work he has done with her, and obviously Lynn Roberts did a great job with her too, but we're seeing her at her best, and how great for this student athlete to be going out in this way.
No doubt about it. Looking forward to seeing where it takes her.
We've got one more little chunk of our show coming at you in a few minutes. Come on back. We're so glad you're with us. Points in the Paint continuing. It's our podcast solely put forth to get you up to speed with WCC women's basketball. Ann and Mary, delighted to have you with us. Mary, we've broken things down in this wild and woolly start of the season. And we love the fact that it's wide open. And we've got more games that will help kind of, I don't know if it's going to help level things out. It could make things even nuttier when we're finished with this coming chunk of games.
Yeah, I think what's coming up on Thursday night, and let's keep in mind what a turnaround this is for these teams and these coaches with the Christmas holiday, the Hanukkah holiday, and then you roll into games before that, immediately after that, and now right into the New Year's celebration, and right after. The turnaround from a Monday game to a Thursday game with travel, and even without travel, is pretty intense. And as we all know, when you're 18, 19, 20, New Year's can be a big deal. So it's not like, those folks are going to sleep when they're at 8:30. So, you get, and because that might be when that's what I'm saying. So anyway, I think there's a lot to manage and to kind of keep moving forward, but we certainly have some huge games coming up on Thursday, and maybe none bigger than Gonzaga at Portland. Just
Let's
because
talk about
the
it.
Zags pick number 1, Portland right on their heels, and the Zags 2-2, Portland 3-1. It's in Portland, and you now know about all that history in that rivalry.
Well, and the rivalry is real.
Yeah.
And there's a deep respect. There's not a hatred, but it's just this rivalry. And Gonzaga dominating in the regular season, as you know, against Portland. And then there's something about these pilots that once they get to Vegas, man, they flip everything. They've won the last 2 consecutive WCC tournament championships, beating Gonzaga in thrillers to the end. I think they've won 3 of the last 5. Again, beating Gonzaga in the semifinals before winning it all the next day. That the rivalry is the real deal. This is not a must win. You're a coach, Mayor. This is way too early to talk about must wins. And yet, it's a game I know we're looking forward to.
Well, I think as a coach, you never say must win, but certainly I think when you're a coach in your mind, you're going, must win.
Okay.
So, I think Gonzaga, you don't wanna go to 2-3. You know, if you're Portland, you don't wanna lose 2 straight after you're so sky high. So, this game is huge, and then you move on to the battle of the undefeateds when
Come
you
on.
have St. Mary's at 4-0 playing USF at 3-0 on Thursday on the Hilltop in San Francisco. I mean, what an early treat for all of us.
Something's gotta give. The styles are different. It'll be really interesting to see how USF does holding home court, but there's something about the St. Mary's Club seemingly down and out that always finds a way.
Yeah, they find a way to win, and it doesn't matter if they get down, they just keep firing back, so that's gonna be a great game to watch, and I know you're looking forward to the Santa Clara Washington State game, which we will both be on, up in Pullman, looking forward to that one. Can Washington State, can they keep it going? They're 3-0, and they've won 4 straight, and I just wanna give a little shout out to Alex Koval, their sophomore post player who came off the bench and was sensational last night, and that kinda lift that at 6'5", she brings that team off the bench, just more of that, Alex, but boy, she has really grown into that role.
Big time. And there's something about Washington State right now when they get that backcourt rocking and rolling. And then that post presence, they've got shot blockers all over the floor. They're one of the best shot blocking teams in the country, and they're starting to score points. That's going to be a fun game. And let's talk about LMU at Oregon State. So OSU seemingly in the ashes. And this is when Ruick is at his very, very best, is when team or people start counting out his team. Oregon State on a roll. LMU with Erica, Coach Erica doing her thing. What an opportunity for LMU to go into Corvallis.
Yeah, and I think when you look at Oregon State, this would be just their 4th home game of the year. They have spent their preseason just far and wide. So finally to get home and let their home crowd really get familiar with their squad, I think it's gonna be a very warm homecoming for them.
It was really neat. You talked to some folks who were at the Child Center last night with Oregon State upsetting Portland. And we know that the Beaver fans travel, and there was a lot of orange at the Child Center on the bluff last night. And to your point, to get them home with them, the Beavers on such a roll, it will be quite a homecoming.
It will, and then, I mean, Saturday, we have another huge full
Yes.
slate, but we're really looking at that Oregon State, Washington State game. We'll be on that one as well. Doubleheader with the men on Saturday, and 2 old foes and coaches that, are extremely familiar with each other will renew it in the WCC, and we're looking forward to that one as well.
San Diego, I just love Cindy Fisher and what she
I
has done
do.
with that program, and I know I know you do as well. And man, again, offline, you've been talking about Horstmeyer, what she's doing with San Diego, and she's to me an extension of Coach Fisher, big time.
Yeah, she really is, and it was, really illuminating to just watch them play yesterday. 6 foot out of the Bay Area, San Diego sits at 0-3, but she's playing her best basketball of her career. She has been sensational in their last 2 games, playing over 35 minutes, 13 points against Gonzaga, 20 against St. Mary's, but she's in such great shape. She's the go-to. She can play inside, she can play outside, shooting 54% from the floor, getting to the free throw line. It's really it's one of those things, Dan, that we like about this job, we love about this job is watching people as a freshman come in, stay in one school and
Yeah.
develop, and as a fifth-year player who kinda was part of that COVID craziness, it's just great to see a player who's worked so hard to achieve where she's gotten and just continues to work hard and hopefully get a win this coming weekend for USD.
Got a question for you. We've watched teams with little mini skids going into conference right the ship. Is it possible for some of the clubs right now who are looking for those first conference wins to do the exact same thing and get back into the race?
I mean, I do. I think when you go up and down, you think about Santa Clara, UOP, LMU, Pepperdine, San Diego. They've been close. They have played well at times. It's just playing more minutes better instead of having those gaps, that one quarter where you score 6 points or 8 points. You just can't afford that in conference play.
Wow, we could not ask for a better start, Mary Murphy,
Nope.
to WCC play.
It's wild.
It is. It's crazy. It's a coin flip. It's who's hot. It's to your point, who can sustain. And we have got a fire drill going here that I am digging, and I know you are too.
It's like a New Year's Eve party, and let's go. Bring it on.
Bang the pats, whatever I'm trying to say, bang them. Bang those pans, bang those pots. Mary Murphy, I can't wait to see you again in person. We've got a big weekend in Pullman. Thank you for being my wing woman, and thank you, everyone, for joining us. Points in the Paint coming your way next week. Can't wait to see you then.